Tales from the jails, folks. This is John G. Sutton. Please do like and subscribe. And there's a link below to what I'm going to be talking about, a little bit anyway. There's a series on BBC iPlayer about a prison called Maghaberry in Ireland. And it is extremely enlightening and very much in keeping with the BBC's approach to prisons. I mean, I've known for many years that they've been interested in discussing imprisonment, its uses and its effectiveness. And this series, Maghaberry, absolutely seems to answer a lot of the questions, that it doesn't really do anything. You're just locking up people for an indefinite amount of time. I'll put a link down below here, a link down below, so you can click on that and watch it on iPlayer. I believe that you do need a TV license to watch it. I've got one, by the way. Well, my wife has. She looks after things like that. But yeah, it's very enlightening, actually. Starts off with the discussion with an inmate called Andreas, who grabbed an obviously homosexual man from a bar in Ireland, dragged him down an alleyway and beat him to death. And for that he's been in prison for 15 years and likely to stay there a little while longer. It's quite enlightening into the mindset of prisoners. And of course, having worked in the prisons, a lot of inmates go in there with the impression that they're going to be really tough guys in prison. Of course, the problem is that even if you are a tough guy, somebody's going to get you in the end, believe me. I was at Strangeways, and this big 6'5" black guy, mighty muscular guy, started throwing his weight around on the landings. He must have been about 17, 18 stone, massive big muscles and all that. And I was the hospital officer in charge of the clinic when they brought him in. About half a dozen guys had grabbed him, held him down and razored him. And they hadn't just razored him a little bit, they'd cut him all over his body. Lacerations, great long cuts, not deep, but very, very long cuts. So he must have had about 150 slashes. There must have been 4 or 5 of them at the cutting of him. And when they brought him in, he was dripping blood all over the place. It took two hospital officers to stitch him up. It took us all afternoon. Terrible mess he was. But he survived. But he'd be scarred for the rest of his life. And after that, I believe his activities on the wings kind of quietened down. Of course, the normal punishment these days is... They call it jail napalm. What it is it's boiling water mixed with sugar. So they get it up to boiling and then they pour it all over you, or all over the chosen victim. And it sticks to your skin and takes the skin off. So you're left scarred for life. When Ian Brady was at Wormwood Scrubs, he was... put onto normal location on D-Wing. That's on the wing along with the rest of the people who were serving long terms of imprisonment, because D-Wing was what they call the lifers wing at the Scrubs in the 70s. This is. He lasted about 2 or 3 days. Somebody followed him into the recess, poured boiling water all over him and gave him a beating, and after that he was taken away and held in the prison hospital, which is where he was teamed up with the mad teacup poisoner Graham Young. And of course, Brady hadn't learned any lessons. He was still a pervert, and a sexual pervert. He used to follow young boys into the toilets in the hospital wing and the hospital ward and sexually molest them, whilst Graham Young stood outside the toilets on guard, watching out for the staff. So, despite the fact that he'd been assaulted, beaten, imprisoned for indefinite life, Ian Brady hadn't learned a damn thing. Of course, as soon as it came out that he was molesting young inmates on the hospital ward, he was removed and taken to the segregation unit at the Scrubs. And that's where I encountered Ian Brady. But Ian Brady and my family go back a long way, when the case was originally being investigated in the 1960s, my father was a detective with the Greater Manchester Police. Well, it wasn't the Greater Manchester Police then, it was Lancashire Police, actually. And my father was investigating this alongside a man called Superintendent Joe Mounsey. And they were working on that case, and at the trial of Ian Brady and Myra Hindley, my father was in the court when they played the tapes of the children pleading to be released. Because what they'd done is they tape recorded themselves, Brady and Hindley, torturing the children and taunting them and sexually molesting them. My father said it was an extremely harrowing experience, and so that, and strangely enough, I met Ian Brady at the Scrubs, locked him up a few times, horrible, nasty creature, and you could sense there was a darkness around him, and it was cold. It was like meeting the devil, seriously. And later, when Myra Hindley was taken to the moors to actually see if she could locate the body of the missing boy that they buried up there, she couldn't do it. But the officer that took her there was my brother, who was at the time a detective inspector with that was the Greater Manchester Police. It was all over the TV. My brother is about 6'4", with Myra Hindley was about 5'3". Yeah, strange world, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, I've put a link down below to this TV series on iPlayer, Magabry. It's a worthwhile watch, and it's in tradition with the BBC's handling of imprisonment, which I think they do rather well. As you all will know, in 1979, they were filming Strangeways, and I'm featured in that. You can look it up on YouTube, Strangeways, BBC Strangeways, and you'll see that there's a link there, and it shows me arguing that the Prison Officers Association are nothing more than a tool of management, because they were controlled by management, by chief and principal officers, and that the non-supervisory grade staff had effectively no representation. Of course, it was very difficult to get through to the staff who were only interested in getting a pay packet. They couldn't see that if they didn't do something about this, then down the river they were getting sold, which is where we are today. Anyway, that's it, Tales from the Jails, and I sincerely hope you've all bought my book. It's a song dinger, folks, yeah, and I am now going to give it a go. I'll sing you a song, yeah, so have a look at that BBC documentary on iPlayer, Magabry. Alright, this is a song that I used to like. When I was a boy, we had this on an old 78 record player. It's Cool Water, and originally sung, I believe, by Marty Robbins, but we had it on a 78. Yeah, you got no more warnings now. I'll just give it one more ding just in case you're hanging around and you're not accustomed to the noise. That's it, folks. You've had your warnings. All day I faced the barren waste without a taste of water. cool water. Old Dan and I, with throats burned dry, and souls that cry for water, cool, clear water. Oh, the nights are cool, and I'm a fool. Each star's a pool of water, cool water. And with the dawn I'll awake and yawn, and carry on to water, cool water. Keep a moving, Dan. Don't you listen to him, Dan. He's a devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with water. Dan, can you see that big green tree where the water's running free? Well, it's waiting there for you and me. Cool, clear water. There you go. The water's all dried up. When it heard that, it shrank away to nothing and evaporated. Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Have you seen all them posts that Sean Atwood's putting up? Have a look on YouTube.